I'm so happy to be talking with Sau-fong Au today. She's the director of the Women's Center at Brooklyn College and the co-chair of their Asian American Faculty and Staff Association. Sau-fong earned a BA in history from the Chinese University of Hong Kong and a master's in education from Rutgers University, as well as a doctorate in education leadership from Manhattanville College. Sau-fong, I'm so happy to have you here, especially with your expertise, women of color and leadership. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sau-fong, your trajectory from Hong Kong to the United States and finding yourself at this leadership position, can you talk about how your identity shaped that career path?
Well, I come to this country, it's slightly embarrassing. I came here to get married to my college boyfriend. And obviously that didn't work out. I came and the only way but then for me to come to go to school. And that's why I decided to go to Rutgers at that point. And I think that coming from a really homogenous society to United States, it is a cultural shock. I think that back in Hong Kong, I really seldom need to think about myself as a Chinese woman or Asian Americans. But the minute you landed in this land, then you realize that the environment constantly reminds you that you are not Americans. And that is a code word for not being white. So I think that over the year, the longer I live here, the longer I realize the experience of being reminded that you're being different had really informed my decision and also my intention to seek connections with people like look like me, have a lived experience just like me. And I think that experience really had changed the way that I see myself and changed the way that I see the world. I think that a lot of immigrants would not really talk about this explicitly, is that there is a shift in identity. And for middle class women like me, growing up in Hong Kong, went to university. And when I moved to the States in 1987, all your identity got stripped away. You are a nobody. That in classroom, faculty can talk to you if they like. They can ignore you if they like. And all your word is not based on who you are, it's based on who you are not. So I think that is a very entry point that I have into this country. Over year, I definitely had moving from calling myself a Chinese into I think the solidly Asian American in this country.
Sau-fong, it's fascinating as someone who was born here and then noticed at the get-go that I was not of the dominant group. I went to majority white
Mm-hmm.
schools and was trying to assimilate and trying to be more white and not wanting to identify with my culture. And hearing your arc of being part of the dominant group in Hong Kong, but then coming to the US and realizing I'm not right, I'm not part of this group. I feel like all these things that are wrong about me that don't fit in are not working. It's taking my self-worth, and therefore I'm going to seek connection with people of my background to help me revalidate. And it's so fascinating because I took time. It took me a few decades to actually want to go back to my own culture and say, I need to understand, I need to embrace, I need to love that part of me for me to love myself and to me to lead. And I want to talk about that mindset, this, okay, I'm not feeling like I'm part of this culture. I'm going to want to connect. And you're leading the Women's Center. You've done it for 23 years. I mean, it's such a long, amazing career at Brooklyn College. I'm curious, when you look at the women of color, especially that you serve, do you see this happening as well? These not enoughness, how is that playing out with the people who you serve?
And I think that it is really important to recognize that there is no a single experience. of for women. And I think that what we're looking at is a lot of commonality, a lot of similarity, and also the thread. And I think that one thing that in my 20 years of career that I really noticed a lot, particular for women of color as well as first generation college students, often college is often is perceived, college is being perceived as such a gift that you're not supposed to have. Now you have it. So the only sentiment that you should express is grateful or lucky, because the feeling that you have to be grateful and you have to feel lucky to be in the place, it make it virtually impossible to ask more. And yet the reality, particularly for college women of color, is that they really don't have as many what we call social capital when compared to their white counterpart or their upper middle class counterpart, where they got exposed in their life what college look like, what professional life look like, how to dress, how to use knife and fork, and when to raise your hand, and all those nuances that had never experienced by women of color. And because the sense that you should feel grateful, make them impossible to ask when they don't know that a lot of time those lack of knowledge got internalized and feel immensely inadequate by the students. And I think that those emotional turmoil and the burden of those emotional turmoil is not mentioned and not discussed often enough. I always say that building self-esteem takes years, and destroying self-esteem only lead one incident. So I think that that is the thing that as educator, I think that I always really aware of, that the narratives that we share and create for our students got to reflect their lived experience and not a standard that imposed by a traditional white middle class male institution.
Sau-fong, I'm trying to pair what you shared earlier with this really beautiful nugget. We go into environments we don't feel we're enough. We also don't have exposure to all of the possibilities, whether it's networks or jobs or what we could have. And we're entrenched in this be grateful for what is given to you now, and don't ask. All of that leads us to not seek the next thing that we deserve. But internally, when we get to the core of all of it, it's the sense of, am I enough? Do I have self-worth? And that's constantly destroyed, sadly, right? It's like these moments, these cuts that even as we build self-worth and try to build confidence inside, it's the core is not solid. I want to go there, Sau-fong, because you have, I mean, it's incredible, this career focused on this area. How do we do it? Given that we live in this context, right? We can't necessarily surround ourselves with people who look like us and the same values, and we want to embrace diversity. We're going to work with white people. So, given we want to rise in these contexts, how can a woman of color build self-worth? Like, what would you say are these actions that we can take to actually say, yes, I am moving along as I'm getting cut. I'm moving along. I believe in myself.
Well, I think that the issue is really complicated. I don't have a magic answer for it, and but in my work, there are a couple of things that I do all the time. I think one is just really to create a sense of community, and community is people feel that they connect to, they have a stick in it, they are entitled to it, and they can take ownership, they can move, they can change, and they can shape. And I think that to create those community, it is extremely important. So as educator for me. So the work, the Women's Center, it is really about creating those community for students that they can come in, they can who they are, and that they're creating a cultural norm and a behavioral advocate than the one judging each other, right? So I think that that is one part of work that as as educator we can actually do, and also as Asian American woman, because I really acutely aware how lonely it is. I'm in the car. I have been in college for 22 years. Obviously, I have a lot of friends, a lot of colleagues that I know for years, but it is constantly feeling that you are alone. It is really the old saying, the pain got really deep. It is always there. And so I think that that's one part of it. And I think if anyone asks me for advice in terms of how to see the community, I think that we need to go and look for the community. And in my career, I think that one thing that actually become more and more apparent, and it is the age of internet, that people actually, students actually can go out and look for different groups, different entities, or different people to get together to do a lot of those kind of affirmation work. So I mean, I don't have a short answer to it, but it is something that it is ongoing, need to be done all the time. And I also want to really make clear that the interesting thing about knowing who you are is also creating a whole host of possibility that you're allowing people who don't share the same experience enter into your life. Because when you think about it, it is that if you are secure and you're grounded, then you're not so afraid of closing the door all the time. So when you know who you are, the ability to tolerate differences, allow the influence of different people into your life, and actually it will go up. And I think that that is what a multicultural society should look like. That is, there is a way that we can allow folks to be who they are and yet interact with people who are different. And those organic interaction create changes and reach people's life. And because culture is not stagnant. Being my Asianness is really different for my children's Asianness, who are biracial, both of them. And or my niece who are Asians, who are both my brother and my sister-in-law, they're Asians. So the experience are going to be different, right? And I think that the more grounded the person is, the more open and accepting how we receive ideas, perspective, friendship, love, crossing a community. I mean, the world is endless, and
Sau-fong, I'm hearing that if we want to build self-worth, first it's surrounding ourselves with a community of people who are not judgmental, and we can find those even if not in person online, but these affirmations and helping us feel like we're not alone. The second thing is that when we build community, we also support ourselves, but we support a larger diversity effort, because now if I'm secure in myself, I'm able to open myself to different perspectives, knowing that even if we disagree, I am still solidly okay. I'm still solidly worthy. I'm curious, Sau-fong, when you think about myths about what women believe that actually aren't true. We have this idea that we're not worthy, right? But we are. And I'm curious if there are any other myths as you've supported women of color, that you also find pretty thematic.
I mean, I think that the other thing that I found it all the time, and I certainly not immune to it, and I think that is the lead to be like. So if I don't belong to a place, then the only way that I can occupy a space is that I am being nice and then liked by people who occupy those space. And I think that that had not changed for 20 to all these years. And when people speak up and instead of calling ourselves assertive, we can call aggressive or catty. When we are introspective and thoughtful, that we are labeled as submissive or passive. And I think that it is really important for women, particularly women of color, to create those. Uh, it is really in some ways it's almost like a radar to know what is a boundary is. That is my space. That you're grounded in your space so that you can assert yourself with those boundaries. And I think that the boundary got to be expanded. And I think that contrary to a lot of things, I mean, one thing that I really do believe in as a practice is that as a person, my job is to push the boundary and different, and it is not an aggressive act. And it's not like I want a bigger office. What I'm saying is that I am entitled to be here. And the one slice of pie that they offer me, it is peanuts. It is not the pie. I can have the pie. I can have the dough to make the pie. I can have the ingredient to make my own pie, right? And so I think that it is really to stretch those boundaries so that we can feel more at ease and at peace of the space that we occupy. And I think that that is really important. And also the other thing is that I think about this a lot is that, I mean, psychologically speaking, we really breathe in this kind of stereotypes, myth. I mean, sometimes I call it self-destruction button that you go there and say, oh, I don't belong here, right? So it is going to be a lifetime process for us. But I also think that it can be managed by reminding ourselves that we can ask for more, we can assert ourselves, we can do more, we can push the limit. Now, two things seem almost diametrically opposed to each other, but as human beings, we can actually hold opposing ideas and opposing feelings. And a lot of times, when people come to me, when they feel that they cannot, they're so concerned about how people see them, whether they can do it. I always say, fake it until you make it. You're going to go into room believing that you can do it. Now, there is a lot of trauma that by doing that, a lot of emotional toll that we have to carry to do that. But then we can come back, and that's where the community can process together. What happened to you too? Oh, he cut me off, and I had to politely say, "Oh, I haven't finished my thought," and the agenda did not include me. I have to say, I have to leave in 5 minutes. Can I be on the top of the agenda? And like those kind of things can be processed. Not so much the action itself, but the emotions within the community. So that when you do things that you want to do, doesn't come back haunt you. Because one of the things that I find a lot of time, particularly people who want to be like happen a lot is that a lot of loop in their head. It's like, should I have done this? Should I do this? How can I do this? No, I shouldn't do it this time. I should do it next time. I should have been nicer because I can see his face. I can see his eyes. I can see so and so roll their suck their teeth. I mean, like all this thought in their head, and it's wasting a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you should just think about you have a meeting for an hour and come back home for 2 hours to process the meeting in your head.
So,
That is
Sau-fong,
not
this
the.
is resonating so much because our judges are so loud, and sometimes we don't even know we're doing it. And we have a 5 minute interaction, a 1 minute interaction, and we'll spend 5 days processing this thing that didn't even matter to the other person. So I'm hearing you
Mhm.
say, go, we belong, ask for more. People are wanting, we might want to seek them liking us, but let's let that go out, fake it till you make it. Yes, it's going to bring emotional trauma, but when that happens, instead of going to our hole, spend 5 days, 5 months, 5 years, right, processing, go out to our community, our place of support and love, and figure out the next action, get on the agenda. When someone cuts us off, what's the step? Because we can't do it alone. Sau-fong, you had said something that really was powerful in that we are not the slice, right? This slice that we're getting, we shouldn't just say, thank you for my tiny slice. But actually, I deserve the pie. I deserve the ingredients. I deserve making my own. And that's quite profound, quite profound. Because in wanting to be liked and trying to fit in and not feeling we're enough, I mean, all of this builds and builds and builds. How dare I ask for more money? Let's go there. These like dirty things that we shouldn't be talking about. We should be talking about love and helping people, not about greedy money. So, can you talk about for you? I mean, you won a huge grant. Congratulations on behalf of the work you're doing. How do you advise women of color especially, to go for the ask, to want the pie, to want to make our own? How do you advise that? Because we do want it, but it feels so scary.
Well, the couple of things that I personally do. One is that I do depersonalize success and failure, and that is that I do my best, and when I do something, most of the time I win and more than I lose, but I don't personalize it. And I always remind myself that my win, my lose is because reason bigger than me. And my win often is the support that I got. Like when you talk about this big federal grant that we received at Brooklyn College that allowed us to start API service program. It is obviously, I mean, I put in a lot of work to it, and my collaborator, Diana Penn, and I hold it together. But at the end of the day, it's not just our idea. It is idea from our colleagues, idea from our students, idea from meetings, and there's a lot of research and studies that people have done on campus, off campus, nationwide, globally, to understand the life of an API, the service lead, right? So those are like bigger things. And then sometimes that we don't get what we want. And it is not always because of us. And a lot of time is because of bigger picture. For example, I'm also engaging in a fight with our administration at this point because the Women's Center I am running now is really facing severe staffing and budget cut. And the staffing and budget cut are so deep that if that happened, that we almost cut 80% of the staff. So we throughout the summer we fight, and so at this point I would say that it's about between 30 to 40% of staffing cut, staffing hours cut, and but it is really significant, damaging a lot of operations. Right now, so I'm struggling it. I am asserting myself. I am asking for it. I'm saying that is not right. That cannot be done. Now, but whether I getting it or not, at the end of the day, it's not just me. There's so many things that need to be happen. Like for example, the community had to want it. It's not me who want it because I am should be fine. I got into it by you. I mean, I'm in a pretty good place, and I just want a big grant. I'm pretty good, right? So it's not just me. It's just the community had to really say, well, that's what we need. That's what we want. That's what I'm entitled to. So the community had to truly want it, and then truly want it and put it in action, right? And also there's the bigger pictures, and they are indeed higher education gone through a transformation after pandemic. And or the other people, many people say that the pandemic had accelerated the transformation, and institutions do not always catch up at the speed that they are tasked to do. So on the top of all this, there's still a hierarchy, people on the top making decisions, and the whole nine other stuff. And we're not even talking about racism, sexism, homophobia, all these things that intertwine and permeate into our life, how impact those. So there's a lot of things that contribute to a loss. So all to say is that when we go to set and do something, we really cannot we cannot personalize it. Now, but doesn't mean that we don't feel the joy, we don't feel the anger, we don't feel the sadness, but really have to be in perspective. That is, wow, I got this. I done this. This is great. This is perfect. So I think that that's one part of it. And the other part of this is that if one can depersonalize this, then you can always ask. I mean, I come from Hong Kong. I learning, proper English, and I learn English in school. So my articulation or my writing is almost like bookish English, the colloquial English. I never really quite get it. Like it had to acquire over the year. And one of the thing that I was really amazed that people say this is that if you ask, nothing to lose. That is really true, right? Because if you don't invest in the success, if you don't personalize the final outcome, then the ask is just a process. And so you ask, and then they don't give it to you, then they don't give it to you. Now, once again, doesn't mean that we are not upset, angry, or happy. But those are emotions that inform us of the decision. If there are, it is appropriate, it is fair, it is reasonable, it's comparative, it is equitable. And I think that it's nothing wrong to decide that, oh, that's not my place. I want to go someplace. So I really do encourage the people who ask. And the other thing that I also think a lot of time happen to women is this. We put values on certain work and put values on the commitments and on the impact on people. And I think that the whole lot to do with caretaker roles and that care about people. That's why we're doing it, right? And I think that that is all good, but we can still ask. Caring people still require a lot of money. I always say this: if I hire a babysitter to come home to take care of my kid, that is the money that I should entitled to as a mother, right? Let's think about it. And if someone answer the phone for me will pay certain amount of money, then I should be entitled to it. And I think that a lot of times to be lost sight on those perspective of those structural inequity. And on top of all this, for women of color, because we don't have a lot of role model, we don't know how much we can ask. We don't even know we can negotiate salary. And when you ask for $10,000, then you realize your counterpart is making 50,000 more than you. And and I think that some of those is really about social capital. And I do feel that pay transparency, it is important that everyone know what people are making. I mean, particular these days and age, the job become. I mean, I think that the world in terms of the job nature become more and more equitable, and I will put a lot of values, C-suite or the executive level, and my perspective always been, I don't know whether I can do your job, but you never give me the opportunity to do your job. But I know you cannot do my job.
Sau-fong, I want to summarize that. It's so helpful. First is don't personalize it. Whether you succeed or fail, there is a bigger picture, many things out of your control. Feel the emotions, but allow yourself to let go of this was all me, like I made this all happen. Second, I heard that if we don't ask, we are 100% chance not going to get it, but asking, there's nothing to lose. So go for it. Third is we don't have the social capital, the role models to allow us to know what's possible. So hopefully we can find them, but that is in our way. And fourth, it's this idea that when people are having these standardized salary scales, it helps us not have to work so hard to advocate. And so we're moving towards that. We have a lot more to go, but at least we're in the right direction. Sau-fong, this has been an amazing discussion. I've loved all the beautiful gems you've shared. Are you ready for lightning round?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Chocolate or vanilla?
Definitely vanilla.
Cooking or takeout?
Cooking.
Climb a mountain or jump from a plane?
Climb a mountain.
Have you ever worn socks with sandals?
I have standard. No. Never.
How would you rate your karaoke skills on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being Mariah Carey?
Do we?
What's a recent book you read?
Well, I read a book called Tomorrow, Tomorrow, Tomorrow by Gabrielle Savin, Cvin, and very interesting book, and it really speaks to the culture of millennials. I really like it. Yeah.
What's a favorite way to practice self-care?
Well, there's many things I do, but I what I love the most is to have a swim or to ride my bike and just go.
What's a good professional development you've done?
One of the best professional development I was engaged in is with the Center for Asian American Women. They are based in California. I was selected as one of the national fellows. So we met a few times a year. It is a very comprehensive development and really look at introspectively about sense of self and also look at skill and knowledge. So I definitely appreciate the experience.
What's your definition of a boss mama?
A boss mama is someone who take ownership of the decision and not afraid to allow people to make a different decisions. And then also someone who actually can have fun.
What advice, Sau-fong, would you give your younger self?
Don't be afraid. Just do it.
And then where can we find you? Like LinkedIn, anywhere else?
You can find me on LinkedIn. You can send me an email. My email is the way that my name Sau-fong Au at gmail.com, or reach Brooklyn College and LinkedIn, social media. We do have a women's center Instagram account. So I'm the only Chinese lady at Brooklyn College. You can find me.
And then last question, do you have a final ask, recommendation, or any parting thoughts for us?
Really do not believe what the world teach you. And 9 or 10, those are lies. So it is up to us to figure out the truth.
Beautiful. Sau-fong, what an amazing conversation. I'm so, so grateful to you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.